Welcome to Poets Pitch, where poets can pitch their piece and guarantee we'll catch what they're pitching. Here is where we break down the complexities and dive deeper into the poetry. Pitches will reach new heights with me, your host, Kiesance.
Now the screen. Oh, hey, y'all. What's up? Welcome to Poets Pitch.
I'm cackling. Welcome, guys, back to Poets Pitch. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave some comments, come back next Tuesday and every Tuesday after that, because why would you want to miss a single pitch? So today,
Hey.
today, my new friend, MACK Thursdays.
Hey, y'all. I don't hear y'all clapping.
I'm cackling. Let me get you. I got something for you. I got some claps.
Oh, there's some claps?
Some snaps.
All right. That needs to be claps.
I'm cackling.
So, yeah, my name's MACK Thursday. I'm here with Kiesance. I'm here to read some poems for y'all that y'all may have heard, may not have understood the first time. You know, some of us are slow readers. Some of us are slow listeners. But here, when we throw the baseball, you're going to catch it.
Period. Okay, with my slogan. I like him. I like him, guys. Okay. So, yeah, MACK Thursday, we're going to jump right into first base.
Okay.
So make sure you guys give us your questions, your comments, whatever you want to know about our poet today. So, Mac, I feel like Thursday is not your last name.
Say that.
I just feel like it isn't.
What's your last name?
He my business.
My name is MACK Thursday as far as everyone is concerned.
Okay, period. Why MACK Thursday?
I mean, you know, it's governmental. It's locked down.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Okay, cool. All right, so you were telling us about school.
Yeah, so I wrote my first poem about, my first real poem about, you know, the to-do list. It was called To-Do List. Should have sent you that maybe. I'll read it another time.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was really just about like having a list on my wrist and how I was dealing with a lot of depression and suicidal thoughts at the time. And I basically just juxtaposed my feelings about that to this list that I was writing on my list, writing on my wrist, move your foot. And my trouble in high school was just, you know, battling suicide and suicidal thoughts and mental health and depression, and just being on my own for the first time.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So the very first time that I heard your poetry was at the Aretha Franklin Music Hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was the only time I heard your poetry, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Yep." And this was like before Poets Pitch had even had an episode, so I was like, "Okay, he's coming on to the show." I literally DM'd you that day.
Oh, yeah. I think you did actually.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I knew that night, like your poetry was exactly the reason why I created Poets Pitch, because it was layered. It was so deep, and I felt like I could have possibly missed something. I was like, I would love, you know, how one of the best compliments you can get for poetry is, "Can I read it?" Because if somebody is like listening and like, "That's not enough for me, I need more," that's a compliment. So, have you always written in such a deep way, or did it take some time to get to that level of writing? I know you said earlier that you started writing good at 20.
I mean, you know, right off the bat, I was already writing really deep because I had a lot of feelings.
Had a lot to say, and then you're a poet that started writing way later too. So
yeah, I feel like most poets, they're like, "Oh, I've been writing my whole life." I'm like, "Nah, I wasn't writing my whole life. I was suffering my whole life," and then I was like,
"You were crying." And you know, earlier we were talking, and he said that he had he writes longer poems. That's what he said. So I can understand that even more now, because it's like, well, you've been quiet for so long, you got a lot to say. Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So yeah, I guess all my poems are pretty long. I think the shortest poem I have is To-Do List, because it was my first poem. So that poem's really only like 2 minutes ish long.
Mm-hmm.
And for most people, that's like a long poem.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's tiny. Like, it's like, I didn't even say anything. I didn't even get my point across. I haven't even communicated to you my feelings and how intricate feelings you're allowed to have. So I remember being told like, oh, you need to keep your poems to like 3 minutes. But I was like, you know, I have more to say.
No, I don't believe that. I think every poet is different, just like every person is different. And whatever your style is, we're going to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Period. You guys make sure you put your whatever questions that may arise in your comments down so that we can get to them. Okay, so what inspires you to write? I know you said like.
That's a good question. I guess what inspires me to write is healing. Until I've written something, I don't truly heal from it. And I recognize that until I get on the stage, I don't truly heal from it. Because then I feel like I've been understood. You know, I've got my point across.
I want to hug you.
I've got my point across. I've been understood. This audience has given me reciprocation. They've healed me in a way that I wasn't going to be able to.
Too,
yeah, it's like therapy, except free. Sometimes we even get money for doing it. I don't get money for going to therapy.
This is okay. I like the way you're thinking. Mm-hmm. So we have a question. What or who would you consider to be your greatest influence?
Influence?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question.
It is. I would have never asked it. Well, maybe not never.
My greatest influence, I guess, would just be the version of me that I haven't become yet. I really to myself. And I know that it's because I can be a better version of myself every day. And I really try to be. And I guess, like, in that way, I've influenced myself a lot. But if I were to pick someone other than myself, I'd definitely pick my everything Mercedes, Layla. These are just my friends in my life who do so much emotional work with me. They spend hours talking to me.
I don't know those people. I don't even know celebrities. So I'm like,
they're not celebrities. They're celebrities to me, but yeah, without them, some of these poems wouldn't even be able to have been mastered, have come to fruition. They spend so much time talking to me about my feelings that I'm able to, you know, thrive and be the best version of me that I can be. So I look up to myself, but they're my biggest influence.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so think of your favorite poem.
Okay. Ever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is it your favorite?
My favorite poem.
You should already have it in your head. It can be yours or somebody else's. What is your favorite? Whatever your favorite poem is.
I can't pick a favorite poem. I can name a couple, but the reason that there are my favorite poems all consist of explaining something that can't really be explained outside of poetry. Like, you wouldn't even understand this if it wasn't a poem. And I don't even think people really get that. Some things, thank you, Ariel. Some people don't even really get, like, poetry is a communication style. It's sometimes the only way that you can communicate. So that's why my favorite poem is my favorite poem. But I really can't even pick one because I can't.
But it's like the style of your that's still interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my last question before we go into the pitch that I know you guys are excited about is, what is the purpose behind your writing? Like, ultimately, like, your main reasons. I feel like you already answered it, but just in case, like, I still want to ask.
Healing others, saving lives. I do consider myself a lifesaver because I've saved my own life, and people have come up to me and told me how much it impacts them when I write poetry. And poetry does save lives. And I didn't know that until I started writing. And then it became more of a job that I felt, or a duty, not a job, but it felt like more of a duty to write. Yeah. So that's what is.
I feel like your poetry is going to get, I mean, I've already read a couple, but I feel like his poetry is going to really open people's mind and so deep, and like, people are going to be moved. which I know I have. Even when I saw you live, like, and you give that extra that extra energy. I have to work on my
performance.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Before we go into the pitch, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors, the Gallery Events. There is a special going on right now for creatives, Monday through Wednesday. If you're a content creator, if you need it for meetings, photo shoots, or whatever, you can rent with them this beautiful space. It's actually a lot bigger than what you're getting right here, and there's another room. So make sure you guys follow them at the @ the gallery.events. I'll make sure I put it in the caption. So keep that in mind, creatives. Alrighty, so now it's time for the pitch. Tell the people what you're pitching today.
Today I'm going to be pitching the poem And. I wasn't sure what the title is, but I think I've just decided that the poem will be called And.
And
yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
It went from lonely to and lonely. Child.
I'm so indecisive, but that's what makes this poem really good, actually. So this poem, I think, is going to be called And, just so it doesn't give away too much in the title.
Okay. You're going to look at, I'm going to give you the main screen.
Okay. And today marks another year that I was successfully unwanted, and I feel an eternal empty with a responsibility to myself. And so I get up anyway. And the ramifications are petty and frail and giving up and a poem and breathing and I make my hair up in a fashion of confidence to facade my puny and decrepit. And I'm a coping mechanism with lucky oiling the gears and a self-help fantasy and a walk and a drive and taco, and a slice of empty can fill an entire box body of somber with happy and a large joke, and a diet nothing, and so eat, and purge, and fill stomach, and suck in, and push out, and cry little tears, but hide them between your eyelashes, and cause a button-down shirt looks better without the salty truth spilled on the flaps, and you're in control, and so stay dry, and stay here, and stay being, and stay amused, and just keep saying, and a carnival is more fun if you pretend to feel nothing at all. And in the same way, a tree bird will enjoy the sunrise more if he sings over the sound of the tree trunk cracking below. And the tree is a victim of an unlucky lightning strike, and the bird has just nested here. Eggs, and new life, and new beginnings, and new things to die for, and the bird refuses to survive if his eggs cannot survive with him. And so the bird is going down, and the tree is going down, and in the same tree, a skeleton of a guy who got stuck in the trunk hole will be found. And the carcass of that man is like the guts of that hollow tree. And so you can say it's foreshadowing, and how the tree and the bird see their secrets projecting off of the tibula of the dead man's bones, and how the bird and the dead man are the same thing, and how I often dream of dying on another planet, and the dead man and the tree are symbolism, and how a thing that belongs to the ground and a thing that belongs to the sky found a home in one another, and how the bigger they are, the deeper they bury. And how irony plays a part in this dead thing, and how it never intended on dying here but did anyway, and how there's nothing either of them can do to stop it feeling like they are dead and or dying, and that there will not be another and isn't feeling death. Just the closest thing to being dead and being empty and unwanted, and poorly named planets go lifetimes, and fake funerals are more realistic if your body is inside of the coffin, and my bed is more incontrovertibly a tree trunk if I pull the comforter over my face, and my comforter is more convincing casket tapping when my still wings be embalmed with mercury and iron, by contrast of formaldehyde, and gluing this sky thing body to the ground, and Icarus, 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 and I often dream of flying to live on another planet, because here my depression gets tangled behind the chaos that is this poem, and no one is ever quick enough to hear me scream for. And Mercury is often the planet I dream of escaping to, because on this planet, named after the messenger god, how could my help be lost in translation? And Mercury is the son of Jupiter, god of sky and iron, is important because it is the root word of your confusion, and how sometimes dead things are still alive, and walking, and driving, and taco, and amuse. And Mercury is a shared name of an ironic planet that will give all this nothing mess a meaning. And if I could just stay breathing long enough to choke on one more, and this is more cogent when you understand that Mercury is a rocky planet with a huge iron core, which makes up 3/4 of the planet's diameter. And this means 70% of Mercury's planetary mass is not Mercury, but instead iron. And so this literally makes Mercury ironic. And this means I haven't found help yet, and I'm still struggling, and our externals do not always until our internals and I, a sky thing going down, I'm often caught flying, and then mostly an entire slice of falling, and falling, and falling and falling and the same way that a corpse lives at the core of this body named living, and eating tacos doesn't make me any more empty, and you aren't what you eat. And so ironic how there is nothing I can do to stop the feeling like I am dead and unwanted and going down and unlucky and unloved and empty and ironic and ironic and ironic and ironic and ironic. And when my torso of a tree trunk is struck down by an unlucky lightning strike, a collection of bones we found in all my hollow. And how can I be hollow when there is a skeleton living in my core? And how can a skeleton be proof of life? I reach down my throat to toss him dead into the toilet every night. And how can I be unlucky and unloved and breathing and ironic when there is a lightning bolt that chose me? And it's ironic how our shells do not always entail and lonely and unwanted, and our faces do not always show our broken, and nor in the same face of falling. My pillow lunges to catch my breath, and the heat of carbon dioxide fills my coffin bed. And unfortunately, like ampersands, there is always more and more and more and more and more and more. Wondering why doesn't the bird just fly a fucking way and be alive and say and say and say and say and say and even if it feels like there will not be another. And even if it doesn't feel like it makes any sense at all, and not at all, just keep saying and even if it feels like there will not be an abrupt ending, and just keep saying. And that is the poem.
Snaps, y'all. High five or low five, however you want to do it. Yes, I love it. Okay, so now we are into the dugout. Make sure you post your questions and your comments so that we can show him love.
Okay.
Period. All right, so the poem is no longer called Lonely. It is no longer called And Lonely. It is called And. And I definitely, hearing it out, this is my first time hearing it out loud. So it makes a difference, and I definitely understand the name change. Okay. And I appreciate that.
Oh, which one did you come to? I read it at one of them, but not the other one.
A whooping.
I read that at both of them.
Oh.
Well, I only read this one at one.
It was cold outside. That's all I know.
Oh, I didn't read it at that one, I don't think. Outside. I didn't read it outside.
No, we're inside. Mm-hmm. All right. So I really like this poem, mostly because I feel like it's a puzzle. Like I feel like
it is.
It's like it's like scattered pieces. Mm-hmm. It's reading a riddle. Like you give us the pieces, and I can literally see you scattering the pieces. But what I like about it is that you're not taking pieces away. I feel like they're all there. Like all your answers are there. Mm-hmm. It's just you move them around, and it's like I really appreciate it. I love puzzles. I love brain games. I feel like you want to be understood, but you also like to test or exercise people's minds or their ingenuity in like figuring it out. And I definitely appreciate that. I love that I'm not gonna lie, I only had so much time, mm-hmm. but I did keep reading it over and over again. Yes, this poem is really deep. But yeah, this piece, I feel like I see you in the piece. I feel like you're basically telling us that you are a very perplexed have a perplexed personality, or you're a very perplexed person. I feel like the poem is filling a void. It's like I feel like you're an overthinker from listening to this poem. I feel like there's a lot of comparisons, paradoxes, ironies, and I see you seeing yourself in the world around you, mm-hmm. and like the similarities between the world and you. And I feel like you're painting a very detailed picture that people can come back to. Because there's those poems that's like hit it and quit it. But yours is like, you're going to come back, you're going to realize something else. And I think you do it on purpose. And I kind of like I don't know it's melancholy for sure. Okay. But it's still enjoyable. So those are all my takeaways from your poem before we dive deeper into it. Do you disagree with anything I said?
No, I agree. I want to say I want to be understood, but only by those who are worthy, If you can't understand, and if you can't make time to understand, then, I'm going to move on to people who can, because I recognize that in all my journey of not being understood, that it's not because I'm not understandable.
It's I'm not for you.
It's just because I'm not for you. Like, if you can't put the puzzle together, then how is that my fault?
Right.
How is that my problem?
I love it.
You know, so that's what this poem really is. That's what actually was the engine behind the poem, even though it isn't the message. You know, so.
And see, this is when I'm the host. So someone said, I felt the pain, frustration, but also the liberation and faith in it. Yes, in the word and. It's like you power behind the word and in this poem. Thank you for pointing that out. Of course, there is an and. Yes, which you really nail it at the end of the poem for sure. Like wasn't the verb fly away and go for it. Okay, period. Thank you so much for your you guys' responses to his poem. Okay, so when did you write this poem?
I wrote this poem maybe 2 years ago.
How old were you?
Maybe 21.
Okay, so you had so what seems like a year or two into your journey, your poetry journey.
Maybe about a year and a half, 2 years, or something like that. Maybe.
Because you said you started really writing at 19. If you were 21.
Yeah. So about around that time, like I wrote this poem. Would you like to know why?
Yeah.
I wrote this poem because I was sitting.
Oh, wait, let me ask the question.
Okay.
I feel like we don't get the cause of this poem. Like, I feel like we get, the effect. We don't really get the cause. So, go ahead. Now you can answer the question.
So, the cause of this poem, what really essentially caused this poem to even happen at all was depression. And realizing that I had to keep going. Or that I wasn't allowed to not keep going. Like, that wasn't a choice, but also that I knew that I was expected to keep going and keep saying. I was expected to say "and" every day. And what do I do today? And what am I going to eat? And what am I going to eat today? And what am I going to wear today? And who am I going to greet today? And who am I going to see today? And it's just so much.
Are you a worrier?
No, it was just mundane. It was just robotic. Where it was just and it was just like more and 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 more. And it just felt like the days were getting longer.
One of my questions was, what is "and" in addition to? And the way you just named off your ands was like things that you were concerned about in addition to whatever else you were already thinking about.
Yeah.
And that was one of my big questions. What is "and" in addition to?
Well, yeah, it's in addition to depression, in addition to just feeling like I wasn't where I wanted to be, but knowing that I had a series of steps that I had to get to get there. The poem starts off, and today marks another year that I was successfully unwanted. And it really did for me on the fact that I guess I may not be a warrior, but I definitely am an overthinker, like you say. I definitely like to think things out because I don't feel like people do that enough. People like to just breeze past it, and I think that's where more trouble comes along. Is like when we don't take time to.
But trouble can still come from overthinking.
Trouble can definitely still come from overthinking.
I saw reading your poem. I was like, okay, I don't want to say I saw myself in a poem, but I saw similarities between us for sure in this poem. And I'm trying to come out of overthinking because it can hold you back. But yeah, I do. If I had to choose between being an overthinker and being somebody who don't think at all, I would choose overthinker.
Me too. Because people just do not be thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I've never been in a relationship either. So that's why this was like a conglomerate of all my woes. And how it just felt like the woes were never ending. And they just kept unmelding, and then it was like, okay, well, this is how elaborate this woe is, and this is how elaborate this one is, and this one, 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 and this one. It was just like so all over the place. It got to a point where I was sitting on a mattress on a floor in a bedroom that I didn't want to live in college, and I realized like I don't want to be here, and I don't know what that means. Like I wasn't necessarily suicidal, but I was definitely over existing. So everything kept just coming at me, and I do slip into that place often, but this poem is so better for me because when I feel that way, I can just read this poem and be like, oh, LOL, look at how much you understood yourself. And it means something to me that I can understand myself, because at the end of the day, I respect myself more than anyone ever could. Sometimes. sometimes, it's like, I messed up there. Could have respected myself a little bit more. But I'm learning that right now is self-respect. And this poem for me it's respect for me.
I like the way you speak and the way you express.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Someone said, Mac, you took us outer space. I felt your inability to breathe freely out there.
That's perfectly. I love the way that he said that. This isn't an ability to breathe. This poem is that's the metaphor or the I'm not sure what you call it, but that's what this is. It's my inability to breathe.
He also said, please be encouraged. Your gift will definitely make room for you, Mac. Great job.
Thank you, Joe Kennedy. I really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Continue to show him love because that was a very vulnerable piece. And we're about to get even more vulnerable because we're about to dig into these lines.
Okay.
So, guys, make sure you also, outside of showing him love, make sure you submit your questions because you should have some with a piece like this. My next question is, I feel like, okay, we already asked that. Okay, so I guess I can just, I'll just ask because I'm really curious about this Mercury because there is throughout the poem. So initially, before hearing you say it out loud and us kind of kicking and talking before the show, I was like, I feel like you really break down the Mercury in one of the stanzas, and I felt like I personally got the irony before you broke it down.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a secret.
Yeah. So I was wondering, why did you feel the need to paint that picture? Was that a part of the art, or did you feel like it was necessary for someone? Because mind you, earlier you said, if you don't get me, then it's like, I'm not for you to get. But I feel like you really broke it down. Like, did you have fun in doing that?
Yeah, I had fun. And, that's part of art is having fun. I really picked Mercury, out of just, I want to say, a last minute creative desperation. I'd love to say it was like this long idealistic project, but really I just picked it and it just worked. Mercury came about because I was thinking about this guy's car and how it didn't work before and how I offered I feel like I give so much to my friends and his car was a Mercury. And it's just, I realized I have to stop giving to people, honestly.
Or overgiving.
Because A, they don't ask for it, and B, they don't appreciate it. You can do and do and do and do and never receive and receive and receive and receive. So I realized that his car was a Mercury. I realized that I like the planet Mercury. I was still figuring out which planet is my favorite. Nobody really did
I ask you that earlier? Is that your favorite planet?
It is now.
Okay.
Mercury is definitely my favorite planet. I definitely hate Earth, which is why I picked Mercury. Picking Mercury was more of a hate for Earth than it was a cry for Mercury or a yearning for Mercury. I think, yeah, it was like a lesser of two evils. Plus Mercury was I think, I don't know where it's at right now. I think it's in front of Venus or something, or next to Venus. But I didn't necessarily want to go to the planet of love. I didn't necessarily want to go to the planet of war.
You put a lot of thought in this.
Yeah.
Are you talking about it was just last minute?
But I mean, I thought about it and then I was like, okay, maybe I forgot why I picked it. Maybe I just forgot why I picked it. But Mercury is the communication planet. Mercury is also in our astrological signs. You have your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising. But right after that, you have your Mercury. I am don't know how you girls like to don't fight me on this.
I'm confident.
But I am a Leo. I'm a Leo sun.
When's your birthday?
August 9th. So I don't know what that means to you, but don't fight me on this. But I may be a Leo sun, but I am I'm a Cancer. I'm a Cancer moon or something like that. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm also a Mercury Leo, which means I communicate that way. I communicate in these, flamboyant, extravagant ways. That's probably what people think. These ways that say, give me attention. So I don't know if that's what you feel like when you hear my poems, that give me attention in that way. But, the way that you do art is probably partly influenced by the way that you communicate, because that's what art is communication. So I do want to die on that planet. I don't want to die on Earth.
Good look at that. How long did it take you to write this poem?
That's the thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like this poem has been a work in progress for like maybe a year.
Really?
Maybe it took a year.
Wow.
I remember first writing it and it was done. Then I remember going back and it was done.
That happens.
Then I remember going back and it was done. And I just kept going back and back and back, and then it was done. Then I'm like, oh, this piece is terrible. I have to scrap the whole thing. It's too long. Nobody gets it. And I was like, wait a second. That's not my fault. That's not my problem. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And then I was like, all right, the piece is reinstated.
Insert poet's pitch.
And I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to come here. So
yes.
Would you like to discuss more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I feel like we already know how. Okay, what do you feel? No, I'm asked that last. Okay. All right, let's go into the lines.
Okay.
Of and, even though I told y'all I was and lonely.
Okay.
Okay, so.
I'm trying to make my answers shorter.
Yeah, we got about 20 minutes. Okay, so you start off the poem with, and say marks another year that I was successfully unwanted. And I'll ask my question of this, and then I'll get to you. What makes this the year marker? Like, of what was the event? Ooh, in your business.
No. My friend, her name was Dej. She was killed in a car accident, and we called each other AE. AE means alter ego. Like, that's how we saw each other, because it always felt like we were doing the same thing. So she really loved this idea that I had of cubism, which is like cubes don't fit inside rectangular prisms. And that's what I would tell to her, like, whenever I was feeling down, she was feeling down, we would say cubes don't fit inside rectangular prisms. When she passed away, I was at a carnival, which also brings me to another line in the poem. A carnival is more fun if you pretend to feel nothing at all. I felt so much that night that she passed away that I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know that she had got hit by a car and died that night. And I was at a carnival. I was with my neighbor Jalen at this carnival in Dearborn. It was around like 9:00 that we went to the carnival. What's that? My breast stink?
No, I'm trying to stop my eyes from watering. The wind to stop the waters.
We were at a carnival, and I remember just walking around the carnival. Carnivals are places on earth. Carnivals, amusement parks, favorite places. I was so miserable. I've never felt so miserable at a carnival, out of place, angry, unconfused. I did not understand what was happening at this carnival. And I'm such a skeptic on things like that. Like, oh, you're just overthinking. No, I left the carnival. I literally gave my tickets back to people. My wristband, I gave them back to people. I didn't get on any more rides. And I could have, the lines weren't long. I just was not enjoying myself. And I felt out of place. I felt like I had to be somewhere else that wasn't here. And so that's the year marker for that, is August 5th, 4 days before my birthday. My alter ego died.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, and that is pretty much actually part of the reason that this poem came about, is just realizing how much that affected. Yeah, so that's the beauty and the light of the poem, is that the poem exists, and that I say and in the beginning and I say and in the end, and I never stop saying and you are here to see me say and today. That is the light in the darkness, because the poem is a conglomerate of darkness, and chaos, and the feelings that we have when we are grieving is very chaotic. So I like that you said the chaos of the poem, because it is a chaotic poem, because that's just how you feel. Things aren't really rational things.
This is really deep. Someone said, "My God, what an experience! God is greater than all your pains."
Thank you.
It's a funny way of saying, "Oh yeah, the sound." Okay. Wow. I knew the poem was deep reading through the lines, but is no way I would have ever guessed like there was that type of story behind it. How long were you and your friend friends?
I know her in high school. Then we went to college together. In high school, I remember the first time I met her. We were in ninth grade. I was sitting at a table with her. She was like diagonally across from me, and there was this boy named Cole. And I don't remember who the fourth person of our table was, but I do remember them two on the other side. And I remember that was the first time I remember not disliking someone. Like I was like disliking people all over the place, but I was like, not her though, because I was like I wasn't a popular kid in high school. I was just a floater. Like, oh, I can go with these people, with these people, with these people, with these people. You know, maybe someone has something to say, but I definitely have something to say back. But with her, it was always like just good vibes. And then in college, we just became even closer because we started pursuing our art together around 12th grade too.
All right. So in the poem, you say, "And a slice of empty can fill an entire box of somber with happy, and a large joke. I like to play on Coke. And a diet nothing." What made you put that in there?
That was just me talking about the way I grieved. Let me read it. So I struggle with eating disorders in high school. I struggle with them a little bit in college, but not nearly as much as in high school. And the way I coped with, like, power and having control over myself was through bulimia. I've written a poem about bulimia as well. I'm not ashamed to say that I've survived that. As disgusting as it may seem or sound, that's my
You
experience.
should never be ashamed of what you have overcome.
Yeah, so I'm not ashamed. So I realized that nothing I ate was really actually, feeling the void that I was putting back inside of myself, and that my experiences were putting inside of me as well.
That makes this line even deeper where you say, "And so eat, and but purge, and fill stomach, and suck in, and push out." Like, whew.
I was in that process of doing that, of just, sucking in my stomach instead of like actually taking care of myself, or throwing up instead of actually taking care of myself. Thank you, Awakener, Natasha. Thank you.
A fellow poet. Yes, thank you so much for the love. So, in the lines, okay, so you already dug into a carnival is more fun if you pretend to feel nothing at all. Man, it's really deep. The line that stuck out to me as you were performing was, "And new things to die for." That was pretty deep. Because you said, well, let me go back so it doesn't just sound like so. Okay. You said, "And the bird has just nested here eggs and new life and new beginnings and new things to die for." What a deep way to put it. Like, what made you word it like that?
That line is more about like going to college and feeling like I had, just made all these friends. I made all these friends, and then it felt like the tree was falling down slowly every day. It felt like something went wrong, which was her dying, my org falling apart, my friends not actually caring about me in the ways that, not even that I just need it, but just that friends should care about other people for, like, in a genuine way. Just was nesting and felt like I had all these new things to die for. But instead I have to live, and I have to say, and unfortunately, instead of dying for things, live for yourself. And that's what that's kind of touching on.
Someone said, "That story at the school table reminds me of a scripture. He that would have friends must first show himself friendly." Coming through with the Proverbs.
I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah. And so so you talk about foreshadowing in your poem. What do you feel like? What exactly were you foreshadowing in? Like, how, like, talk about how you foreshadowed it.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'd love to let that be up for interpretation, but honestly, what I'm foreshadowing um, is essentially like we all know where our life is headed. We all pretend like we don't. We all know where we're headed. If we just sit down and think about it, like you know where you're going to end up. Sure, things may happen along the way, freak accidents, but you know where you're going in life. Um, at least I feel like I do. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm over speaking. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe people don't know where they're going in life. Maybe people just really don't know where they're going in life. Because there are days where I really don't know where I'm going in life. But then I feel like I'm just overthinking when I feel those ways. I feel like, oh, why are you overthinking? If you just had gotten up and did this, you know where you're going in life. But also, freak accidents do happen. So who am I to say? I'm not God. Who am I to say? You know, obviously this poem is about my friend who obviously wasn't supposed to be hit in a car, but was anyway. So, I don't know. I should have thought about this more.
It's okay. In these lines, you say, and fake funerals are more realistic if your body is inside of the coffin, and my bed is more controvertible. Yeah, a tree trunk if I pull the comforter over my face.
So, I guess maybe that's what I'm foreshadowing is this tree, the dead man, and the bird are me, essentially. They're not different things, they're one and the same. Um, why am I the tree trunk and the bird? Well, it's because I breathed life into all of them. And those things
You
all
mean
have.
like oxygen and carbon dioxide?
Okay. Yeah, like because trees have
They
carbon
suck,
dioxide,
yeah.
and we expel it. Or I don't know how that works, but
We
something
breathe
like
in,
that.
the trees give off the oxygen. We breathe in the
Yes,
oxygen, breathe out the carbon dioxide, it takes in the carbon dioxide.
exactly. So there's that exchange there. We breathe life into those things, and the tree lives on top. And um, I feel like I'm blanking. Can I look at this?
You're good. Yeah.
Okay, let me see what I put down on the home. Here's your paper. Let me see my answers. Hold on.
Right here.
Okay, fake funerals are more realistic if your body is inside the coffin, and my bed is more incontrovertibly a tree trunk if I pull the comforter over my face, and my comforter is a more convincing casket capping. So I just didn't want to get out of bed.
I knew I would. That's why I took, because you're supposed to say incontrovertibly, not invertible. But okay.
Oh yeah, incontrovertibly. Yeah, I got ADHD.
You good.
So I just didn't want to get out of bed, and I'm like, ooh, this would be like a funeral if I die here. But also, obviously, I'm not going to die here. So.
But then you start to paint the picture of like the cover. What I really like is when you said, I don't know if it's over there or over here. Here it is. And the face of falling, my pillow lounges to catch my breath, and the heat of carbon dioxide fills my coffin bed. I just love that you put that in there because, like, I used to think about that as a kid. Like, if I put the cover over me, and I'm just like, if I know I'm constantly breathing out the carbon dioxide, but I need oxygen. So, like, where is the oxygen gonna come from? Like, is it gonna seep through? Like, I used to wonder that. And so when I saw like a little bit of my childhood in that part.
Okay, yeah, that was like my college. So I was like, just like, ugh, like I don't want to see the sun, and I realized I couldn't stay under this cover for very long before the heat of carbon dioxide fills my lungs. I realized like it doesn't matter how. Like I'm gonna say I'm not gonna make the decision to kill myself. I just don't want to be here anymore, and I don't want to exist out there. So cover. It's like a fake funeral. It's like I get to pretend for a little bit that I don't exist under these covers. So
that's deep. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna hand you the paper right here. I want to go into how you said, how could my health be lost in translation? So you say,
well, that's more about communicating. It feels good. It feels like I could ask for my friends for help in a million different ways, and they still won't understand me. Even today, I feel like no one has time for me. Maybe I'm an overthinker. maybe I just move too slow, oh well, do you love me or no? And it just feels like no one really understands when I say something until they hear it in a poem and then they get the feeling and how they felt in that moment. I'm like, okay, so now you know how I felt. So how is my help still lost in translation? How are you still not able to?
And you put it in all caps too, so I was like, okay.
And so between me saying and me saying help, where are you confused? Where is there confusion at? I didn't understand, like, if I was speaking another language, when I get frustrated at my friends or having to cut them off because they're just not helping me the way that I help them. And it just feels like, where's the reciprocation at? You're gaslighting me, you're taking me for granted, you're telling me that I should feel some way. I don't have a lot of time to feel some way. I can only take a certain amount of time. Where is that for me? Where's my phone call that I give you? Where's the car ride, the dinner? Like, where are these things at for me? Where's the reciprocation?
Right.
So going through all these things, that's what that means.
When you say and Mercury is a shared name, what do you mean by that?
Mercury is a shared name of an ironic planet that will give all this nothingness a meaning. Mercury is a shared name. What did I mean by that?
I get down here where you say Mercury is is ironic because iron, Mercury iron.
I think Mercury is a shared name means me, essentially. I think I was talking about myself right there. And Mercury is the son of Jupiter, god of sky, and iron is important because it's the root word of your confusion and somehow that things are still alive. Okay, so maybe that's what I was talking about myself here. Mercury being my name and how I see myself in Mercury and how I really identify with Mercury.
What you expressed earlier.
Yeah, and how I can definitely. At one point, I was thinking about changing my name to Mercury, and just didn't. So I think that's what I was talking about. You go through phases in life where you're like, oh, this would be cute. And I was like, nah, I'm not. I'm just sticking MACK Thursdays. That's my name. So, thank you, FX Printing Corp. I really appreciate that because, it means a lot to me when people recognize. When
you said, and how can a skeleton be proof of living when I reach down my throat to toss him dead into the toilet every night? What does that mean?
Bulimia, and how I just didn't feel comfortable in my bones and just having body dysmorphia and feeling bigger than what I was or feeling, uncomfortable with my gender expression or the way I look, things just like that. Just wanting to literally just throw myself away and just not feeling comfortable within my own bones. But don't I still have them? Aren't they still moving?
And working for you.
But how was that even proof to me? That's how I was feeling when I wrote that.
And then the last line we're gonna get into before we to the home run.
Home run.
Someone said, "I am that guy." So maybe.
Okay.
That's relation to it.
Yes, you are, Pain.
You say, ignore that in the face of my. Wait, did we just go over that? Maybe I don't have. So, okay, wait. Somebody said, okay, Pain said, I felt the same way, bro. I totally understand you. Aw.
Oh, thank you.
Look at there.
See, this is why
connection. This is why he does it. Okay, my last question is, what do you feel you encourage in this poem? What exactly do you want people to take away from this poem?
When I first wrote this poem, I wasn't sure if I wanted to encourage people to, say and or not say and. But I think like I have a responsibility or something like that as an influence in people's life and seeing me as an artist to, encourage them to live. Which I know sounds like I'm taking it lightly, but I'm really not because, it's my personal experience. So I guess I'm encouraging people to, say and say and say and say and.
Yes.
Why didn't
and express?
Express yourself. Take time. Stop trying to just graze past things just because it makes you uncomfortable or it makes you feel Like,
or it makes you feel it all, and the feelings are.
Yeah, like it's okay to feel, it's okay to cry, and if you don't want to do that, just get away from me. Like, like feel what you're feeling and be thorough about it. Because the less thorough you are about it, the more upset you're making people around you, and the less good of a person you're being to just yourself. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. That's what I'm encouraging people to do. Be nice to yourself.
Oh, I love it, and we appreciate it. Natasha says, sound like a lot of young people may understand the struggle of possibly not feeling comfortable in their skin.
Yeah, I think definitely, especially the more and more we learn about ourselves and our society.
Well, thank you guys so much. Oh, wait, we got one more. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Well, we're gonna go into the home run.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we feel it. Okay, so do you have any? Okay, so we're in the home run. Do you have any upcoming shows somewhere you're gonna perform? How can we support you?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to be performing in Joel Fuente Green, where Joy is a road. It's going to be posted in his Instagram. My Instagram is mac.company. His Instagram, I believe, is just Joel Fuente Green. I'm also going to be performing in Money Check.
You gotta come prepared, baby.
I know. I wasn't expecting to answer that question. I feel like Beyonce in that song she did. Let's see. The show that I'm going to be in is called... Where is it? Oh, it's called Sodom. It's going to be at Playground Detroit, June 30th. Doors open at 8 o'clock. The flyer will be posted on my Instagram and also on Reginald Hawkins' Instagram. Reginald Hawkins is a poet as well and an artist, and they have invited me to perform in this showcase where there's going to be dancing, art, stuff like that. I'm at Playground Detroit, and we're going to be having just a nice cap to Pride Month and just capping that all off at this showcase.
All right. Well, that wraps up this episode of Poets Pitch. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you guys tuning into the show. Make sure you look forward to our podcast, which is on Spotify, Apple, and Google. We'll have some more episodes posted soon. But if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, make sure you listen to. Make sure you check them out. So thanks again for tuning in. We love you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.